Well, I've been brought up within my field, my discipline of speech communication, teaching persuasion and substituting persuasion for war. To talk it out is better than to fight it out. We are animals who are thinkers, and that has been the distinguishing characteristic. Even Kenneth Burke, he said, or human beings are the inventor of the negative. And that means that they have pretty well classified and made clear to all of us that things go in two parts. There's the positive part and there is the negative part. And that's the way the world works. And what we're trying to do in speech communication is to change people from a no to a yes, or, from one point to the other. So that's been my background. It has always been my suspicion that the real function of the human being that distinguishes us from other animals is not the ability to think, although that may, play a part in it, or that may be a secondary function. The real thing is our ability to visualize or to fantasize or to make use of the imagination. And I have come to believe that the imagination is not only the thing that distinguishes us, but that it's the thing that drives us forward and is probably the reason for our having come as far as we have, both in a negative and its positive ways. In other words, we have to cite a vision, we have to have a vision, we have to know what it is that we really want, what our dream is, before we can take any step toward it, before anything can happen, before we can use any of our thinking abilities, okay? But once we've got the vision, then's when we can travel. Aristotle, I think it was in his Metaphysics, that not just that man by nature desires to know, but that man by nature has to transform. And he used the word mimesis, meaning to imitate. And he felt, apparently, good old Aristotle, that there was some value in that. And that the theatrical instinct in the human being or the instinct to play, maybe homo ludens, all animals play, but the human being plays not just as dogs and cats do, and so on, but the human being plays in a way that fulfills some kind of a vision that is projected from the human beings, as Heidegger would say, out of the core of us. We project ourselves into the world with this vision of what it is we want to do and where we want to go and how we want to be. So the change for me has been from just talking about how we have invented the negative and how we are in this binary world where it's either right or wrong or yes or no or what have you, to a place where I now really truly believe that the visionary function is the thing that really distinguishes us and that is in fact the best part of us. And
when you were growing up as a young person, did you feel that division of the world into yes and no, good and evil, white and black, as strongly as you felt it later? Or was it there? Was it taught to you?
That's such a good question.
Was it always there?
Such a good question. Of course I felt it. I was a Methodist, and although Methodists, come in all different flavors, the fact of the matter is if that was a part of a Christian theology, then you had to have a binary way of thinking. There was good and there was evil. That's the way that it is. So, of course I grew up with that, and of course I wanted to be a good person and not a bad person. Now that I'm thinking about it, when I reflect upon it, I always loved the imagination, and I always loved fantasizing, and I always loved playing, and I always loved theater, and I loved improvisational theater. Mm-hmm. And that function within me, playing out something that was a vision of mine, the creation of something out of the vision that comes from inside, that came upon me. That has come upon me gradually. I had a taste of it when I was a child, even though I was in the binary grind. But it wasn't, I think, probably until I got into graduate school or even later in my teaching career that I actually began to understand what that was with me. The Wanderground, I think, was the first real explosion of that.